Hello everybody, Blind Metal Gamer here with you once again, and it is time for another video on how a particular game can be made blind playable. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about Nioh 3, and what got me inspired to do this was I experienced the alpha demo a while back, and you can check that out on the channel, where I didn't get very far. I didn't get to experience combat. I didn't get to experience any of those things because I couldn't find any monsters to fight. So I wanted to take this time and discuss how Neo 3 could be made fully playable by blind and low vision players. So to start it off, I'm going to do as I always do and say the game needs a built-in screen reader. Yes, it needs screen reader support. And I'm not talking about basic screen reader support, I'm talking advanced. That way it'll tell the player what to push to do which action. So, for example, square for light attack, triangle for heavy attack. It would read, the screen reader would read every menu in the game. Um, it would read every skill tree, things like that. So, an advanced screen reader similar to what The Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2 have, and what Spider-Man 2 has. Another thing it would need for blind playability would be descriptive audio for in-game cutscenes and any in-game uh, like finishing moves or super moves the game may have those as well. So descriptive audio, advanced screen reader. Another thing I would like to say would be for blind playability, it would need a navigational assist. So something similar to maybe The Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2 or Marvel Spider-Man 2 where you click the right stick and it points you in the direction where you got to go to find your objective. And I get it. Nioh's supposed to be an open world game, but I believe if you're given specific objectives in the game, there should be a way for blind and low vision players to find them independently. So, some form of navigational assist that the developers could look to maybe The Last of Us Part 1 or Part 2 or Marvel Spider-Man 2 for this type of inspiration. And they could also look to those games for the screen reader and descriptive audio pieces as well. Um, Another thing that it would need for blind playability would be combat customization. Now you're thinking, I know that the Nioh purists are going to be like, oh my god, Blind Metal Gamer, you're so blasphemous with that one. Now, the reason I say this is because, um, the reason I say this is because with the option to customize combat difficulty or challenge from, normal, which would be your standard fare, light, very light, all the way up to very hard. So the combat customization difficulty would be like from, in my mind, would be from like very light or very easy all the way up to very hard. You can customize the combat difficulty if you wanted. And what this would do is it would give blind and low vision players a chance to experience that Nioh combat with the parrying and the dodging, but with the consequence being nullified to where if you're on very light difficulty, let's just say the player won't take as much damage and they can experience the combat, not have to worry about the pressure and learn, things such as parrying and dodging and things. Another thing that would make the game blind playable, if let's say you wanted that combat to be normal, game speed adjustment for combat. This is something else they could do. Combat adjustment speeds. You could slow that combat down when you're in combat. You hear an audio. You would hear an audio cue, and the player knows, "Hey, I'm in combat. and I am going to be fighting, and the game would slow down. That way, again, this would give the player time to learn attacks and dodges, parries, things like that. So you could combine that with combat customizable difficulty, or customizable difficulty for combat. Now, if the game had puzzles, give the option for skippable puzzles. And I'm saying this because if the puzzle is not going to be accessible to blind players, let the screenreader say, hey, this might not be accessible to kind of like The Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2. You know, skip it. Give us the chance to skip it without any consequences of trophy progression being tied to it. Um, Another thing would be, and I know this is more for low vision, but I want to kind of put this in there as well, is text size customization for HUD, menu text, and things. And so what they should do is have a slider where you can turn it very small or make it the text very big. Another thing they could do to help low vision players and colorblind players is a high contrast mode. Now what this would do is it would saturate the background and make it black and white. And in this mode, things such as enemies and the main player could be customized with specific colors, so give the player color options for this mode. Not just color filters, but specific color options, so that way the player can customize the colors to their needs, and it would meet their needs as far as color blindness in that way. Now, this could also be applied to text as well, and have background opacity for things such as menus, skill trees, and things, and again, allow the player to customize the text and maybe even the icons in the menus to different colors that, again, would meet the player's specific needs. Um, Another thing that would make Nioh 3 blind playable would be, um, let's have discussed screen reader, descriptive audio, combat, navigation assist, skippable puzzles, contrast, colorblind options for contrast, and background opacity for text. I'm trying to. Oh yes, another thing that would make Neo 3 fully playable for a blind player would be audio cues for things such as in being in combat, loot pickups, um, finding objectives, and again, if the developers want to use these accessibility suggestions that I'm suggesting in this video, look at games such as Spider-Man 2, The Last of Us Part 1, The Last of Us Part 2, maybe Assassin's Creed Shadows. So there are some games the developers can reference to make Nioh 3 blind playable. So with that being said, this has been my video on how Nioh 3 can be made playable for blind and low vision gamers. And again, there will be more of these coming. So with that being said, I've been Blind Metal Gamer saying so long, stay cool, stay safe, and peace out, everybody.